Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, wherever you are on this earth watching this video. This is Jack, a Redhead Rumble, finally coming at you with the review on Saturday night's fight between Jack Catterall and Arnold Barboza Jr. So, interesting fact about Saturday. What happened to me was I decided on Friday night, I realised, like I'd mentioned in the preview, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, that I wanted to go and experience it, and I didn't have any tickets or whatever. So I decided I'd go to the Matchroom Fight Day 5K that they do in every city that they're basically at for that weekend. And so I'm going to go to Manchester. I'm going to go and see them and, see if I can have a picture of Eddie Hearn or, go meet Frank Smith or whatever. Well, little did I know, I joined the match, the Fight Day 5K. And what happened was there was so many boxers, so many different people from Matchroom there. Everyone that you've seen on TV before, it was class. We had a picture of Eddie Hearn, spoke to Eddie Hearn for a little bit, then spoke to Frank Smith a lot more. And this is where I'll just say they run a fantastic event. Let me put it straight to you. That was one of the best things I've done before or after an event like that. It's so well prepared, great for the kids. There's all little boxing clubs coming together and all going for a 5K, and it was brilliant, really well ran by the park run and all that. But this is a special shout out to Frank Smith, because me and him got talking because I said that we were running for the fat lads. And we had a laugh about it, and we were just talking about how the show was, what we thought the show was going to do. Was it going to be as good as Chisora's when he was at the Co-op the week before? I thought he did say that probably not, just because of when they actually released tickets for this event. But we carried on talking, me and Frank anyway. And we got onto a subject. We were just talking personally, and he said, "Are you coming tonight?" And I said, "Well, no, I won't be, because, to be honest with you, I'm getting married in May. Congratulate me later." And yeah, I just didn't have the money to get some tickets. And he just said, I'll sort you some tickets out. Think of it as a wedding present. So Frank Smith sorted me out with some tickets for Saturday night, and it was absolutely mega. I just want to thank you again. I know my friend's been in touch who came with me, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed myself. And yeah, I can't speak of you highly enough. What a guy. What a man. So when we were first talking about what this sort of event was going to be, what did we rate it, what did we think was going to happen, I had it down as a 6 to 6.5 out of 10. I wasn't expecting the best just because of the level of competition. As I said, I couldn't see the opponents that the young prospects were facing on the prelims. And then the main card looked steady, but there was a lot of old fighters against young lads. And it sort of seemed like Matchroom were trying to teeter one against the other. But my God, I thought the main event was going to be a blowout. I thought it was just going to be a simple Jack Catterall, welcome to the world stage. Let's go for Tiafimo. That's genuinely what I thought was going to happen, and I said that in the preview. Overall, this show gets a 7.5 easy out of 10. That's not just because I got to see it live. It was a lot better than I first expected. It was fantastic. So much so, I'd be close to giving it an 8, but I'm going to give it a 7.5. The difference, though, with watching something live, other than television and what they want you to see, other factors that come into play in fights and what the corner are actually saying and what they're doing, in the corner, because obviously the camera can only pan to one. So you're looking at the other fighter thinking, oh, what they're doing? Look at that, it's a bad cut. It was fantastic. It was really good to see, and again, it was a fantastic event. It was fantastic. Every last bit of it was. Even though I was stuck with a Chorley lot shouting for Jack Catterall, shout out you lot. You were great all night. So I have to admit, me and my friend Jack, otherwise known as the Bredbury Calf Roch, we got to the event just after Tudsbury made his debut. So we missed every single prelim fight, which I was a bit gutted about. But the Co-op Arena, if you get to know Harper A, our favourite place, it's quite difficult to get to and get in and get parking and everything like that. It's a ball ache, especially because Man City were on at 3 o'clock as well. It was a ball ache to do. So I have to say, I caught up on the prelim fights. I watched them all. Middle miss, did enough in his 4-rounder. I mean, at this level, I want to see you blowing people out. I want to see you get a few finishes on your record. Go into a 4-round points win. I was a bit disappointed in that, I'm not going to lie. It didn't worry me because he's a young lad. There's lots more to come, but I just thought, come on, mate. You know, 3rd round TKO, I expect that from Fiaz, so fair play, pal. Good fight, crack on. Will Crawler, now, Eddie Hearn comparing his power to Golovkin was maybe a touch overstretched. But if you look at his record, he's ploughing through these people. Anthony Crawler's brother. He's ploughing through them. Early stoppage, I think, of the 1st round. I mean, there's not an awful lot we can get from that, but we can certainly look at it and say, you know, what's going to come next. And I think April 23rd is when he's next out. So it's a quick turnaround, to be honest. Couple of months, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that, which is good for him. So, yeah, I am excited by him, though. He was one of the ones that I really wanted to watch. So I was quite happy with what I actually saw on Sunday morning. And then Conor Tudsbury, what a great fight. What an absolute great fight. Good stoppage win in your debut. It's what everyone wants. I think that's what every boxer wants. That's what a lot of boxers expect, I think. I just wanted to... My one comment from it was, look at his physique. Like, what a big man that is. That's a great physique. Bloody hell. Carved from stone, that boy. Tell you. But, yeah, well done to all those 4. Every single one of them came through with a win. We'll go through the undercard in order in the fights that when we first got there. Jazza Dickens was coming to the stage against Zelfa Barrett. Now, the first thing I thought when I looked at the entrances, and I'll put the clips that I've got there, Jazza Dickens looked absolutely shredded. Camp looked like it must have done him so many favours. He was bulky, big. The definition of his arms was massive, so you knew that his punches were going to hurt. They're not pillows. And then Zelfa came out again, confident. They both look really good, and this was for a WBO international belt. Trying to get yourself a world ranking. And as seen on Jazza Dickens' YouTube video he released the day after, that's also got him another fight, 2 fights with Matchroom after winning. So yeah, there's a result. Jazza Dickens won. Completely against the preview when I said Zelfa, if he can keep him at distance, keep his long jab, because he's the taller guy, you know, he'll definitely win the fight because he can point him to death. But Jazza Dickens turned the clock back, or did he? 35. He didn't look 35 in there on Saturday night. The southpaw stance, he was rolling, he was switching. His punches, his precision on every single punch. Every time Zelfa couldn't get off a combination because he was too far away. So he tried jab, but then he realised, I'm not getting anywhere because Jazz is actually jabbing me, moving in, flicking me, coming back out, and he's getting away from me all the time. So I'm going to have to engage. And Zelfa ended up moving on the inside, and that's where Jazza tore him apart easily. I scored the fight. It was high. For a 10-round fight, it was definitely 7-3, 8-2 Jazza Dickens. He won nearly every round. Honestly, it was punch perfect. Performance was absolutely magnificent. And now he goes on in the pursuit of a world title shot. And now, because his world ranking will be higher, other champions might look at him as a bit of a step over, but it gives him another chance to get another go at a different world title. So, well done, Jazza Dickens. Commiserations to Zelfa Barrett. It's not that he's a bad fighter. I just think that he fought the wrong game that night, really. He's got a great corner, great team up in Manchester. But Jazza Dickens, experienced, very, very good, solid veteran of the sport now at this point. He's miles too good for British level Jazza, so I'm glad that he can now go on to world honours. But Zelfa's definitely at the European level, 100%. 100%, because we all know he's a great fighter. So, yeah, thanks, lads. Great fight. Can't wait to see what you both do next. The next fight we had on was Pat McCormack versus Robbie Davies Jr. Now, this, as I said in my preview, I was actually right. Robbie Davies Jr., 35 years of age again. Can he turn it back against the solid pro, or solid sort of brand new pro? 6-4, 6 fights, 4 knockouts. He steamrolled everyone. Would Robbie Davies Jr. be able to do anything in this fight? And the answer, unfortunately, was not. And it was a it was a tough night's watch, to be honest with you, for Robbie. He's a solid fighter. He has been for years. He's done lots at European level, British level. And Pat McCormack, he thought, I'll show up the kid. But unfortunately, it just didn't come to terms. And that as I actually aforementioned in the preview, was his last fight. He's actually since retired. He came up with a statement on Twitter, and if you watch the boxing on the television, because I actually watched the whole card again on the TV, watching Anthony Corolla in his corner, fantastic corner work, said it nice and calm, plain and simple. Listen, the kid's just too quick for you. You're not going to get what you want out of this fight, so what's the point in you taking more punishment going on? Fantastic corner work from Anthony Corolla. I think every boxing fan, every pundit will say the exact same thing. And now it's just, Robbie, go back to, you know, is he going to go back to Liverpool, start doing his coaching? Is he going to work with Corolla in Manchester? Either way, fantastic. Thank you so much for a great career. You've had some absolute mega fights, especially in the last 5 years. In terms of Pat McCormack, I mean, the rise is just going up and up and up. This guy ain't going to stop. That night, he looked like he would be a world champion. He looks a bit messy at times. And when I say messy, it looked like he wanted to not hurt Robbie Davies Jr., but it looked like he wanted to get as much out of the fight as he could, the rounds, because he knocked him down 3 times before it eventually got stopped in the 6th. So, you know, it was like he was almost playing with his food. And, I mean, I was talking to Jack at the side of me who I went with, and he said, this guy's toying with him. He's toying with him. The corner's going to pull him, and, you know, eventually he did. So, Pat McCormack, again, one to watch. The Mackham from Sunderland, fantastic. Great fighter. Great fighter. So, congratulations to you. It was Reece Bellotti versus Michael Gomez Jr. Now, Michael Gomez Jr. I didn't know existed, technically. I knew his dad, the Mancunian Mexican. I knew him. You know, you heard about him, the Mexican man, call that jazz. And then I looked at his record, and his record was pretty impressive as well. Reece Bellotti, I know what we're getting with Reece Bellotti. I think everyone who's watched Matchroom shows for the past 7 years know what Reece Bellotti's like. He knows that he gets in there. He's a small guy, so he's always going to fight on the inside, and it's always an absolute tear-up. Now, with Reece being 35 in the preview, I gave it Gomez Jr. because he was just a younger man. I thought, again, experienced, tired legs, maybe. Was I wrong? Absolutely. Reece Bellotti coming in, smashing him up. Gomez Jr., it has to be said, has a lovely jab. The jab kept connecting every single time, but he couldn't build up on shots because before he knew it, Reece Bellotti was in his face, in his guard, uppercutting. It was an absolute bloodbath. There was loads of clash of heads. Reece ended up with a cut up here. Gomez Jr., bright blonde hair, red all over it. People going crazy in the crowd because he sold a lot of tickets. That's why Eddie will have had him so far up the show. But yeah, Bellotti wins. The corner didn't let him come back out. And Reece Bellotti showcased why he's a great fighter. And I think if other fights might have gone different ways, you could have seen him a bit higher up in terms of levels. But British level, that guy is an absolute beast. And it looked like he turned back the clock. It looked like Jazza Dickens. He looked like he could have another 2-3 years in the sport. He looked completely fit. He looked brilliant. And then at the end of the fight, because remember, he was getting booed out the building when he first came in. So just to shut all them people up. Fantastic, Reece. Congratulations. Commiserations for Michael. Let's see where you're going from here, mate. You've got a great record. You're fighting out of Manchester. You can clearly get people bums in seats. Thanks, lads. Absolute war. On to the next fight. We had Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza Jr. We didn't know an awful lot about Barboza, and in the preview I was quite damning in saying that he never actually fought a 12-round fight, so this was going to be his first 12-rounder in this sort of, you know, who can be the number 1 ranked WBO junior welterweight. For me personally, after watching the fight, Jack Catterall was so slow. He never got going. I edged it Barboza 7-5, which I think is what went with the split. I gave it Barboza on the night, being there live. He did too much. He was connecting with a few combinations, whereas Jack Catterall, I couldn't tell if he was waiting for the counter punch, coming back out. He was constantly waiting to pounce, and then it did work. After 1-6, which I gave Barboza nearly every round in the first 6 rounds, even if I'd give him all, it was fair. But then Catterall, after the 6th into the 7th, he came on in a massive stride. He just leaps and bounds. It was completely different. It was like it was a completely different fight. It has to be said, though, I think on the night, and he was very, very humble in defeat on the night, he didn't do enough to win it, in my opinion. Now, I could have seen a draw, but I couldn't have seen a Barboza loss at all, because that wouldn't have been fair. And it was quite interesting because a lot of people actually said that, you know, the home fighter fighting him in his backyard, if you go to points, you're screwed. But no, fair enough to the judges. They judged it right down the line, and I agree with them. So there was no complaints. Jack Catterall will be back, but he has to drop the counter punch or waiting to exploit an opportunity. It just looked like he was constantly shouldering, just waiting. He's got such a great power source and he's got really hard punches, and I just don't understand why he doesn't probably take a little bit more risk and fire them out a bit more. I know this guy was undefeated. I know he was like the Jack Catterall of the USA. No one wanted to fight him. I just thought he could have done so much more with what he has, because Barboza was hitting him and it didn't. Nothing hurt. Nothing happened. Jack Catterall, they were bouncing off him. It was nothing. If he'd have just risked it a little bit more, you know, there was a trip. And that's to be said, there was a trip. There was a couple of trips that the ref gave trips as well. HEARN said it was a knockdown. Now, obviously, if you take the 10-8 there, it changes up the score somewhat. It sort of looks in Catterall's favour if you look at both of those knockdowns. But I wouldn't have said it was. That would have been fair. From live, looking where I was sat, it looked like he just tripped up with his feet. What does this do for Jack Catterall? Jack Catterall has to go back to the drawing board. There's plenty of fights out there for him there. Will he move up because it's a bit more of a named division? Teofimo's gone. Fighting in Alcatraz, he's not going to fight some sort of no-name, excuse my French, in you know, the junior welters. He's going to go up to welterweight and fight someone, you know, Boots Ennis, someone like that. Richardson Hitchens, maybe his last fight at junior welter, but I just can't see him. The name's not there. I can't see it myself. So Barboza could be made the actual world champion if Teofimo vacates, which is interesting, but he will get beat. He will get beat. He was very bouncy on the feet. He did quite a lot to sort of win points. It was very sort of, I wouldn't say Usyk, but I'd say it was very targeted like Usyk does, where he'll have flurries of punches that will pick him up rounds. That's what Barboza did really well, and it was effective in Manchester, and it obviously helped him out with the judges. Fantastic to see both fighters at the end, by the way, just embracing, you know, well done, great fight. Because it was a good fight, regardless of what the crowd thought, because everyone was booing, obviously. But he never got beat, Barboza, never in a million years, and it was just good to see Jack say that as well. And he's such a nice guy, humble guy. He battered Josh Taylor twice, but only got one win. He should have been undisputed champion by now, like everyone says, and the thing is, it is true. Like I mentioned in the last video, we did have something going on in Anaheim, in California. It was a Golden Boy show. It was Oscar Duarte versus Miguel Madueno at the Honda Center. So Duarte's won it, stoppage. He will look. The thing is, he was supposed to fight Prograis, so it would have been an interesting fight for the division, shall we say? But unfortunately, it wasn't. So, you know, there's not much more to say about that. It was a bit of a dunce, to be honest. I switched it off, and that's terrible because Redhead Rumble's all about that boxing. But I couldn't face watching the rest of it. So what have we got coming up on Redhead Rumble? This weekend is Beterbiev versus Bivol, the rematch. Oh my God, the undercard to this is the best card we have ever had in boxing. Some of us have waited years to see these kinds of fights being made, never mind all being on the same night, and it's just fantastic to see. I can't effing wait. Let's go, Bivol. Come on, let's set up the third. We've got a couple of videos coming up. I'm going to talk about some stuff that's going on in the boxing world. There's been plenty going on just on the quiet. And we've also got some previews of this weekend. I want to try break down some fights if I can. Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be such a good weekend. So much so, I've already said to everyone, I am done on Saturday. Do not contact me. Do not call me. Don't bother. I am sitting in front of my television. I can't be in Riyadh. Frank, I'm not expecting anything. But let's go. If you did like this video, everyone, or you enjoyed the content that I'm providing, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're new, you know, click the bell for new notifications. Trust me, we're going somewhere with this. I can just feel it. It's great to have you all on board, those that have joined up so far, and let's see how far we can go with this. So, this is Frank Smith. Subscribe to
Redhead Rumble, don't miss it. I don't know why they called it that, but it's a good name.
Look at it. Look at that. Come on.